Edition of the podium, which is coming to you live from Freetown with me, Asmiba. We start with a quote of the day, which comes from former American President John F. Kennedy, and it says, "The Constitution does not just protect those whose views we share; it also protects those whose views we disagree." Coming up in this edition of the program, the constitutional instrument for the setting of the Justice George Will-led Commission of Inquiry laid in Parliament will mature tomorrow. Code 8 is set to launch the Code 8 Enterprise Academy, which is aimed at improving businesses through training, coaching, and access to finance. We shall also look at the pumping of $5 million into the banks. How would that affect the current exchange rate in the country? Director of Sport Ibrahim Bangu was sacked and replaced with one Kenneth Brimer. All these and more, including your messages, which you can send to 0883735504. The number again is 0883735504. It's podium. The number again is 0883735504. It could be recalled that at the close of Parliament on the 3rd of August 2018, the Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice laid before Parliament the constitutional instrument for the setting up of the Justice George Will-led Commission of Inquiry. By law, after 21 days, the instrument will become law. However, the opposition, All People's Congress, called for a debate on the bill before it becomes law. But the Speaker on that day rejected the call by the opposition, saying they used the wrong standing order. Well, as the division continues, what does civil society make of the bill as it becomes a law tomorrow? In the studio, we have two civil society members, Thomas Conteh, who is representing the Citizens Advocacy Network, and Moses Mambu from the Civil Society Consortium on Service Delivery. They've been calling on the government to set up the Commission of Inquiry. Let me start with you, Thomas Conteh. When tomorrow comes, the bill is going to have life. It is going to become a law. But let us look at the circumstances now surrounding the bill itself, the disagreement between the ruling party and the opposition members of Parliament. How would this leave the Commission of Inquiry?
Thank you very much. That is a very smart question. As an organization, we believe that the process of having a Commission of Inquiry to inquire into the activities of the erstwhile government is very laudable, and we commend government for that. Because we believe that if our nation is to come from the current state that it is to a state of admiration, then people who hold office, both past and present, should be accountable for their stewardship. However, Citizens Advocacy Network has not lost sight of the fact that in doing so, we need to actually respect, or it should be done consistent with procedures and processes laid down by our books. And of course, in this case, the standing order of Parliament. As you mentioned in your introductory remarks, there has been some kind of controversy that has characterized the tabling of that statutory instrument before Parliament went on recess about 21 days ago. Members of the opposition party raised concerns that they would want to actually have the instrument tabled for debate because they have issues that they want to add or that they will want to actually introspect the document. But as you know, the Speaker overruled the opposition member who stood on the grounds that he stood on the wrong standing order, whilst the opposition holds the view that they really stood on the right standing order.
So both the ruling and the opposition members of Parliament are quoting the same standing orders of Parliament.
Yes. So now, as an organization that believes that this is a process that should have a national face, it should not be politicized. It would be a very wrong thing for anybody to try to politicize it.
Has it been politicized?
And that is why we have written a letter to the Speaker of Parliament as an organization beseeching his good offices to allow the process to be free, fair, and free from political goal scoring by way of allowing the debates to go on. Because it is only when we have a debate into the statutory instrument that has been tabled before Parliament, we'll be able to have an instrument that will be representative of the wishes and aspirations of the Sierra Leoneans. We can mark you, the members of Parliament we are voted for by Sierra Leoneans. They represent all facets of the society. And it is only Parliament that has the local standard to debate such instruments in this nation as provided for by law.
But Thomas, you and I know that Parliament is regulated by the standing orders. So when a member of Parliament stands up to speak, whenever he wants to reference something, he should do it in concert with the standing order.
I agree with you.
If he stands on a wrong premise, then his opponent is going to use that against him, and that's what the speaker quoted. That's what the speaker is saying.
I don't want to be judgmental here. What I want to do is to present the point as they are and beseech our authorities to live up to the expectations of the people. Now, let's agree that the parliamentarians stood on the wrong standing order. But there is provision in our laws, in the Constitution of Sierra Leone, that when a document is tabled before Parliament, within 21 days, if that document does not receive any objection, it becomes law. Every Sierra Leonean will agree with me that that document has been objected by a citizen who is a member of Parliament representing a constituency. And let's agree that he stood on the wrong standing order. But it goes further. If you look at section 86, subsection 2 of the 1991 Constitution, you will find out that, please permit me to read it verbatim because it is very short, not long. You will find out that section 86, subsection 2 says, notwithstanding the provision of subsection 1, at least 20% of all the members of Parliament may request a meeting of Parliament, and the Speaker shall within 14 days after the receipt of that request summon a meeting of Parliament. Now, what am I bringing forward? After there has been this misunderstanding, disagreement that the parliamentarians stood on the wrong standing order, what they did, because within 21 days anybody can object, they now wrote to the Speaker of Parliament. I have, of course, copy of the motion that was presented by that member of Parliament, requesting that the Speaker convene Parliament because it is an emergency issue that needs debate. What happened was, of course, according to what I have received, is that the Speaker did not give recourse to that document that was sent. And by all standards, we believe that it is constitutionally provided for a member of Parliament to request in writing through the clerk that we want the Speaker to really convene. And when you convene, it goes further to tell you that you have to have about 21 members of Parliament to be with you on that particular motion. That is, you need to get 21 members of Parliament for agree with you say Parliament need for seats. Even if Parliament is on recess, there are two grounds on which Parliament could be removed from, could come from recess and have emergency meeting, as you saw in the appointment of the anti-corruption boss. Parliament was on recess at that time, but what happened? An emergency meeting was called, and the anti-corruption commissioner was appointed, and he passed Parliament.
Okay.
Similarly, a member of government, a member of the opposition, made an appeal that let us have an emergency meeting. Let's agree that what he stood on was wrong. Now let's have an emergency meeting to look into these issues, and then over 30 people signed that document and sent it to the Speaker. But that has not been given consideration. And what I listened to this morning on 98.1, or yesterday on 98.1, is the clerk was presenting a case that when the 21 days elapse, the document is going to become law. It is very serious. What am I saying?
Okay, Thomas, I'll come to you later. Okay. Let me bring in Moses Mambu. Your organization had earlier on called for the setting of a commission of inquiry, and the government has done that. The bill is now in Parliament. Less than 24 hours from now, it will have become law. But if you look at the background to all this issue, some people say this is not a good start, it's not a good beginning.
Well, thank you very much. I think my colleague have done well from his part in terms of laying his case to the public. However, we want to call on Sierra Leoneans for us not to attach sentiment or emotions to the issues that has to do with governance, transparency, and accountability of our nation. Because anybody that attempts to ridicule or to put our state in a state as if we are under political threat or civil society on service delivery will reject that person. Notwithstanding, we have come a long way on the setting up of the Commission of Inquiry. Of course, Sierra Leoneans know the background, okay? For which we started commending this government for, in the first place, doing a transition report, published the report for people to see. And the report, I said this morning at AYV, it was not absolute. We supported that report based on 2 grounds. The recommendations of the report and the methodology used. They did not reinvent new wheels. New wheels were not reinvented in terms of getting the report together. They reviewed our audit report, they reviewed documents they met in the MDAs, and they spoke to professional heads. Because when there is a change of government, it is the politicians.
Now, I mean, Moses, let's go to
now,
the Commission of which is going to crown
yes,
the work of
thank you. Now the Commission of Inquiry those are the premises, and they recommended at the end of the day, because that is where it's coming from, and that is the premise we want to lay for our people to understand that this has nothing to do with politics. This has purely to do with Sierra Leone and being. Every government should be accountable.
But due process must be followed.
Due process must be followed. That's why I said, when you look at those 2 particles where the whole thing started, the methodology and the recommendations, they recommended that President should set up a Commission of Inquiry and also audit service to do audit, which tells you the report was not absolute. Now the document, there is a constitutional instrument. First of all, I want to correct my brother that no parliamentarian have objected the constitutional instrument. Please, let us don't mislead the public. No parliamentarian, I repeat, have not objected. There is a difference between objection and when you raise a motion for a bill to be debated. When you object is that you are totally in disagreement. Parliamentarians are not in disagreement with the constitutional instrument.
So you think the APC members of parliament are in agreement with the statutory instrument? They are in agreement.
What they want is let the constitutional instrument be debated.
And why do you think they are asking for debate?
Yeah, because debate can come from it doesn't mean that when you debate you are going to win. It's on twofold. When you debate, the constitutional instrument is very clear.
When you debate, you also have an argument.
Yeah, you have an argument. At the end of
and you and I know what the points of the APC members.
At the end of the day, you are going to vote. And who is in charge of the voting process, who conduct the voting process, is the Speaker of the House. He controls the voting. Parliament, and mind you, my brothers sitting here are those that have been calling, all of us, we have been calling for procedures to be followed, okay, in this country. That in governance, for it to succeed, procedures must be followed.
And Parliament has been accused of not following the procedures.
Procedures, fine, but in this case, the Bible, the book that is governing parliamentary proceedings in this country, it is the standing orders, the parliamentary standing orders. According to what happened in Parliament, he stood under Article 18 of the standing orders of Parliament to move a motion for the bill to be debated. Whereas the Speaker quoted Section 25 of the standing orders that he should have stood under Section 25 of the standing orders of Parliament instead of Section 18. The leader of the opposition, Honorable Chei Koko, also stood up. And mind you, all of them, he cannot compare the experience of the current Speaker of Parliament to them in terms of parliamentary proceeding. He's not only a legal-minded Speaker, he has also been at the House of Parliament. Before even some of them were born, he was in the House of Parliament. So he has vast knowledge and vast experience. And the problem we have this time around, and that's going to be another discussion another day. This Parliament this year, 85% of the parliamentarians are new, first-timers. Are new.
But Honorable Chai is not a new member of Parliament.
No, I know. I'm just telling you that they are new. Now, what happened? What we need to understand is, let us.
What about the MP who is that? Who?
No, this is his secondment in the House. So that was why.
So meaning he's an informed member.
Yes, that was, and a lawyer. That was why the Speaker of the House was very angry that you ought to know better that the standing order you stood on You understand? To move a motion for a debate of this bill is wrong.
But the member of parliament still held his ground.
Yeah, he still
held his point.
even the opposition leader still held his ground. But let me come to the real point I want to make. Sierra Leoneans are watching us. Sierra Leoneans are listening to us. Some of us we drive them along with some of the things we say. Let us don't attach sentiment, emotions to things that has to do with Sierra Leone.
Exactly.
Thank you. That is what some of the CSOs are pushing this process. So you know why? What they are pushing for is to discredit the whole process. Leaving Sierra Leone, please, I'm coming. Leaving Sierra Leone in a ridicule manner, painting the whole picture as if there's a political ground. That's why anytime somebody comes to me, Bamboo and your colleagues, why are you defending this transition commission of inquiry? We are doing this under 3 focus. A, the methodology they used, we supported it. They did not reinvent new wheels. B, they made the recommendations that make the report not absolute. C, we are looking at the social factor.
Okay, Thomas.
We are looking at the social factor of that particular. In fact, the publishing of that report have indicted even the SLPP government, have now put them on their toes that one day, us ourselves in SLPP now, we are going to leave power. If the right thing is not done, any other government that comes after us is going to investigate us and bring us to book.
Moses Mamba will come to you later. The program is a podium coming to you from Freetown. Send your message, story number you see on the screen. That's 083733504. The Bank of Sierra Leone, together with the Ministry of Finance, has backed an auction of the US dollars to commercial banks for onward sales to business community. Well, this move came as a result of several complaints from importers and business members about the scarcity of the dollar to do their business, as the value of the country's legal tender, the leone, is depreciating. Well, in the studio is someone who has been monitoring the event. Welcome to the program.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. The auctioning of the US dollar at the moment, do you think is going to have any effect, Edmond?
Well, yeah, basically, as you all know, I mean, for us at Native Consortium, and as an economic analyst myself, we've been looking at this economy for a very long time. Apparently, first of all, we must commend this short-term measure, because if you could remember from last week, we took on the media, and we've been calling on the the central bank to come out, because, mark you, the central bank, traditionally, they are being very conservative. So, we want them to talk. You know, this issue of book economics, we need to talk the street economics, the Bala economics, so people understand. So my uncle in Makama and my aunt in Jaitown in Bo will understand, because all what they are interested in, all of what we are blowing in the media, talk economics. I mean, my uncle is Anama Bolonto. What he is interested in, let the price come down, food on the table.
But the dollar determines that.
Yes, sure. I mean, this is one of the short-term measure. I mean, it is very good. Actually, they stopped. They used to sell at $3 million way back in. I remember in 2016. When Dr. Kefala Maha called us again at the bank, we were there. That was when we recommend that, let the president send text messages, if you remember. And of course, that sends shockwave in the spine of many. But I think we need to push the frontier further. Let us try to de-dollarize, if you like. Let us try to, this is Sierra Leone. Our legal tender is leos. If you want to, because what is happening in the market now, for instance, if you want to import oil, vegetable oil, it is being driven by dollar. They go out there to buy it in dollar. The oil marketers, they go out there to buy in dollar. The CTC alone, when they auction, they buy about $166 million alone from the central bank, which is very much huge. And that is why we are pressing that we need economic diversification. So, of course, the oil marketers. And from last year to date, the IMF cautioned the central bank not to auction. So it was a regulation.
The rationale was?
Now, of course, these are just monetary regulations, because they don't want it to go below the threshold. There is a threshold being laid by the IMF. Native Consortium, we've been part of the IMF engagement each and every other time. But apparently these are just short-term measures. The closure also of the timber also, because when you have too much of leos chasing too few dollars, it's a problem. So because it is the forces of demand and supply that is at play, that is why we are calling on the dollar boys, these dollar guys, these mass black marketers, the black marketers across the country. By next week, we'll be having a meeting along with other civil society organizations and the media. Let us all go and discuss this issue, because it is very much central. People charge rent in leos. You come with cars, they want to charge in dollars. we need to de-dollarize this economy.
I mean,
now, apparently it's not
Edmond, you can de-dollarize the economy. For instance, if someone says he has a 3-bedroom flat and he's asking for $3,000, and you say let him de-dollarize it, he will ask you, okay, well, give me the equivalent. So it's not a matter of whether the person asks for dollar or euros or pounds.
Yeah, but
you can ask for the equivalent of it.
No, let me give you. I'm a primary casual. I'm a primary casual. Let me just give you my example. I have a very serious standstill with my landlord now. I negotiate by 12 million, and now some time ago, he changed. He said, no, let us you to pay me in dollars. Now 12 million. If I'm paying you 12 million each month, it's different from you charging me $2,000. If I pay you $2,000 by 2015, I used to pay 10 million, and then by now $2,000, how much is that? It's about 18 million. So the disparity is huge. So I mean that is why. So
the business people will always ask the equivalence of $2,000.
Just don't charge. If you want to charge me, you are my landlord. Edmond Abu pay me 12 million, 15 million, bam. But if he said $2,000, and I mean, there is fluctuation, and in fact, what is uncertain about our economy is the conundrum here is whenever things goes up, it's very hard to come down. Now, let's come to the auction. Yeah, like I said, it's a short-term measure. In 2016, we saw what happened in Nigeria when the oil price plummeted in the world market. Mark you, I mean, Nigeria is an oil exporting country. They do up and down streaming oil. Now, you found out that in fact it suppressed the Nigeria economy went into very big recess. They had to float the naira. They had to devalue the naira. In the short term, it hurt. But what happened? The central bank in Nigeria came out now to start to sell, auction. And we have this huge, because now we have, for us in Sierra Leone, we have a very small market. We have this huge mass black market. They come and consume the dollar. And they suppress the central bank, and then the central bank withdrew. So, I mean, it's a dicey.
Is that not the situation we are heading for?
No, well...
Because some people argue that the black marketers have more dollars than the banks.
Well, it's difficult to validate that. But I think.
Well, go to the bank sometime. Dollar is not there, but go to the black marketers. You have dollar.
No, it's very no. I won't subscribe to that. Mark you, the central bank. I mean, we have enough money. They have the dollar, and then of course, no. Because how this auction normally happens, they go through the commercial bank. Like for instance, if I'm NP or Total, I bid. They sell maybe $500,000. I'm CTC. They give me through my commercial bank. I buy. But what has been happening over time recently? They shut down the auction, so it creates more pressure on the banks. And so most of these banks, we have reports, though we cannot validate that. But there are rumors, and the rumors is very much thick that they do trading behind the scene, behind the back.
So in the short, to cut it short, they give the dollars to the black marketers.
Yes, the black marketers. So that is why we are calling on the black marketers. Please, you have to be patriotic. Those of you who charge Bala Ogiri because of dollar, say because dollar don't go up, we they beg you, because this we have to beg people from last week and today, from yesterday. I mean, the dollar is coming down. I mean, looking at what we've been.
What's the price for today?
It is about 84, 85. Unlike last week, and it was going at a neck-breaking speed. So for us as civil society, we are very much concerned because it has to do with the bread and butter. Okay. So I think we need vigorous campaign, and I think we need to thank the media also. That is why we are calling on the bank. They need to come out. The media and civil society, and of course the business people need to come up. Let us up our game and then do this advocacy. So
okay, he is Edmond Abu from Native Consortium. The program is Podium, reaching you from Freetown. Quad 8 Sierra Leone has been contributing to strengthen the capacity of businesses in the country to promote a local content policy so that they can compete. Well, over 50 businesses from 3 cohort cycles have benefited from the accelerator program since 2016. Well, in the studio is Mohammed Wuri, who is the private sector development manager of Quad 8. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, tell us more about this accelerator program 2016.
Definitely, yeah. So Conteh, just to give you a bit of background, is a Dutch NGO, and in Sierra Leone they currently run 2 programs: a health program and a private sector program. So under the private sector program, we have this accelerator program where we work with small businesses, and the aim is to improve entrepreneurial skills, improve investment readiness, and also build the capacity and improve business practices for these businesses. So we take them through a training program between 6 to 8 months where we offer them training to focus on these areas.
And these the kind of trainings that others had organized in the past, but yet still Sierra Leone entrepreneurs continue to lag behind?
Yeah, so ours is...
What has been the missing link?
Right, so basically, if you look through most of these programs, they're not custom made, right? So what Conteh does is ours, we take a group of SMEs. So normally we work with about 15 SMEs. Fortunately, this year we had a partnership with USAID where we took 30 SMEs. So our program has a curriculum basically where we take them through, give them business training over 8 modules, ranging from finance to marketing to HR and so forth. So the idea basically is that we look for businesses that are willing to learn, because one of the things is for you to be able to change your practices, you have to be willing. Sometimes other trainings may just accept all businesses, but what we do, we look for ones that are willing to change their practices.
Do you normally diagnose them to know what their problems are?
Yes, we do, yeah. So what we do is before they enter the program, we do a needs assessment where we look at, where you're operating, set some milestones for you, because the end of the game is that you have to have a business plan. Conteh also has a separate function called Conteh Investments, and what they do is they finance businesses, right? So what we do then, we are like a pipeline for Conteh Investments, where these business plans would then be considered for funding. But what we do in my unit, what we look at first of all is capacity building. So we don't give any financial funding per se. We give funding in terms of knowledge and technical ability. So we offer training, coaching. We also do technical assistance. So let's say we do a module in finance and bookkeeping, then we give you a financial consultant that will come and work with you for about 3 months in your business to help you develop, good practices, right? Because I think you understand sometimes SMEs or businesses in general would say access to finance is a challenge, but you and I know that when you go for any type of funding, even if it's just personal lending, you always want to see if the person has records, right? It's bookkeeping. So most times our businesses do not follow a formal structure. So what we try to do is to get them formalized in a way that an investor or entity would be interested in investing in the business themselves. Okay,
which kind of businesses are dominated by the ones you've trained?
Right, so we focus on all sectors. What we also try to do is work in collaboration with the government's agenda in what sectors are key. So agriculture, tourism, manufacturing. So in our current program, we have businesses that are in those sectors. We also have those that are in hospitality. We have some that are in fashion and trade, textiles, and so forth. So as I said, we don't look at any particular sector per se. We just look at businesses that are willing to learn. And the ones we target actually are the ones we call the growth SMEs, right? Because our goal is that to create jobs and improve livelihood. So with our intervention, the aim is that you're willing to scale up. That means you're willing to expand and create more job opportunities in your business. So those are the ones we focus on. So there's other strata of businesses where you have the micro, which we don't focus on. Ours is more on the growth SMEs.
Continue to be with us. He is Mohamed Bouri. The program is a podium reaching you from Freetown. Well, the Minister of Sports, Ibrahim Yelenke, has said that the ban that was placed on school sports, inter-varsity sports and school leagues at all levels have been lifted. Well, the Minister also said the stadium management will make the stadium available to all government and government-assisted schools free of cost for all sporting activities. Well, this statement was made immediately after President Bio launched the free education program at the Miata Conference Center, and he also followed the sacking of the Director of Sports, and he's been replaced by someone as well. Festus Jelahai is the media team, member of the media team from the Ministry of Sport. Welcome to the program, Festus.
Thank you very much.
Before we go to the lifting of this suspension, tell us a bit about the sacking of the former Director of Sport.
Thank you very much. I think as a member from the media department of the Sport Ministry, we do not comment on issues that has to do with State House. The appointment and the sacking of the former director was done by State House, and so we expect the media department of the State House to come out and explain to the general public what led to the sacking of the former director of sport.
Well, let's do the activities of the former director before he was sacked.
I mean, he has been a kind of passionate somebody in that ministry. He has served this country for a very long time. He came in that office when the former minister Paul Kamara was there. So he has served 3 ministers in that ministry. So I mean, if you go to the ministry now, you see that there's some amount of sadness in the ministry. His good friend, the minister himself, is not in a very good mood as of this morning. But that's the duty of the president, and he was not sacked by the minister nor the National Sports Council, but rather the president through his secretary, Dr. Julius Sandy, who sent in a letter that they have replaced him with one Dr. Kenneth Brahma.
So do we know the profile of the person who has taken over, Kenneth Brahma?
Well, that will be done very soon.
No, I mean, many people accuse the former director, or well, I will not say so, but what was his role in the impasse between the SLFA, the Ministry of Sport, the football stakeholders, the tripartite disagreement, if I can put it that way?
I mean, he's someone who has been very much vocal in seeing that they resolve this whole impasse that has long served the football in this country. But again, as you know, he was serving under a president who had wanted to dictate whatsoever he wanted to do. If you contact the former minister, Paul Kamara, he will explain to you that he had wanted to take a different decision on the football incident, but he was stopped by the president. If you as well contact, again, the former minister before, Honorable Ibrahim Yelenke, Ahmed Kanu, explained similar story to you. There was a time the former minister, Ahmed Kanu, gave an ultimatum to the Football Association, to resolve what is going on, or he will take a drastic action. He was stopped by State House at the same time. So, I mean, we at the National Sports Council will not levy blame on the director. He has been very much passionate. He had wanted actually peace and sanity to prevail in all sporting disciplines. I mean, he has tried his level best to unite the National Sports Council for the past years. He has been there, and he did his best, even though he could not succeed in most of what he had wanted to do. But I want to say he tried his level best.
Okay, now let's talk a bit about the lifting of the ban on school sports, which was placed by the former administration. The former government argued, the former minister who placed that ban said the inter-secondary school sports had lost its value, had lost the reason why it was established years back.
I mean, I will not subscribe to that statement that school sports actually lost its value. I mean, we have people who have nothing to do with these sporting activities who take advantage of crowd gathering. So they will go through them and destroy and snatch away people's property. They have the ulterior motive whenever the school leagues are going on or the athletics meets are going on between schools, or schools are organizing their, academic athletics sports meet at the Shaka Stadium. They will go through them and then see how best they could do mayhem, cause mayhem on peaceful citizen who has nothing to do with sports. That's what has been happening.
So has the minister thought of all that before lifting the ban?
Of course, he has. And that is why, before the lifting of the ban, there was a joint meeting in which the Inspector General of Police, his deputy, and of course the director of the Sierra Leone Police was all present at the Minister of Education, Senior and Secondary School Education Office here at New England, in which they have to put us together, look at the ramification, what led to the banding, and what they think the security would do, not to see such occurrence in the future. So, they agree, and I hope the Minister of Education is as well in close concert and in collaboration with his head of principals, who do organize these activities at the Shaka Stadium. So I think the minister in his will think that we have lost a lot of talent over the years, and so this is one way to actually scout out talent again, to groom them for national assignment, both local and international. Again, he went further to say that he will be distributing football free to secondary schools, to help complement the free education and free quality sporting activities, and of course the issuance of the Shaka Stadium and the Bo Mini Stadium as well will be on free basis. Before this time, principals or head of schools used to pay some amount of money for the services of the Bo Stadium. And
so henceforth they are going to use the stadium free?
Yeah, to help complement the free quality education and quality sporting activities in the country.
Here's our Festus J. Lahai from the Ministry of Sport. The program is a podium reaching you from Freetown. We're going for a few seconds break. After that, we shall be back. We are back with the program Podium, which is coming to you from Freetown with me, Asmiwa. Shortly, we shall read the first batch of text messages. Thomas Moore, the SFP is worried because they think the APC MPs want to rock the boat. They want to turn spanners into their works.
No, well, you see, that is why we exist as civil society organizations to checkmate some of these institutions and processes governing these institutions, and not to do the other way around. I need to establish it crystal clear to the listening public and, of course, the viewing public that Citizens Advocacy Network is not in any way against the idea of having a commission of inquiry. What we are pushing for is to have a free, fair, and free from political goal-scoring commission of inquiry. Because it is only when the process leading to the commission of inquiry is clean, then we'll have an outcome that will be welcomed by all and sundry, and the wishes and aspirations of the people will have been respected. But in the situation we are in, we have started experiencing political gimmicks being played in tabling the instrument that will form the basis.
And come tomorrow, the instrument becomes law.
Oh yes, and that is why we have written a very passionate letter to the Speaker of Parliament. Because I will tell you that Sierra Leoneans are not oblivious of the fact that since this parliament started, this fifth parliament of this republic, it has been marred by a number of challenges, controversies, to a point that the sanctity of parliament was desecrated at a point in time. Wherein parliamentarians, we are mercilessly dragged out of parliament and what have you. And where we have seen procedures and processes being violated. And this process is very key. Yesterday, I was on 98.1, I had an interview, and I made a key point that these issues have strings attached to national security, peace, development, and cohesion.
They say you are crying wolf.
And somebody, a very senior civil society, went on social media trying to actually canvass some kind of ill feelings amongst people. But what I meant by
that... Are you
not
crying wolf?
What I meant by, I'm not crying wolf. What I'm doing is exactly what a civil society should do.
But people are just being asked to be accountable.
Oh yes, we are in for that. In fact, we will support the process to its logical conclusion. Anybody that will want to meddle with the process will definitely call that person out, and that is what we are doing. We want the process, we want the document to be tabled because we want to hear the debate, we want to hear the issues from some of these opposition parliamentarians that they want to actually table in the well of parliament.
Let me bring in Moses. I'll come to shortly. Okay. Let me come to Moses Moore. Now, if it continues like this, like what Thomas Moore said, this is going to defeat the outcome of the Commission of Inquiry. People said, well, people had already been found guilty even before they stood before the Commission of Inquiry.
It's not. There is no new will that have been reinvented. You know, that is why I'm...
But maybe the will is faulty.
No, the will is not faulty.
We are not talking about the... We are not talking about the will. We are talking about the processes
please.
Moses Mambu is...
No, please. No, please, I'm not. Please allow me, my brother. Please allow me. I have been in this fight from day one, Thomas Moore. I know what I'm saying. And I understand here, I have never misled anybody or any gathering in this country. And people who are watching us can justify that. What we are saying is, first of all, Thomas Moore, try to understand what is in the statutory instrument.
I know exactly.
What is in the statutory instrument is simple. The formation of the Commission of Inquiry, what will be its TOR, its function, and how will it carry its activities. Simple.
So it should not be debated.
No, I'm coming. Clear, cut, and simple. There's nothing in it that is political.
So it should not be debated.
That's anybody. Please, I'm coming. Thomas Moore, please, I'm coming. Please. We are not. If we are debating,
I want to guide him.
No, the people of this country knows me that if it was a debate, you will not be speaking by now because my voice is 10 times more than yours. So you will not be debating. But we are speaking to we are speaking to civilized population who are listening to us. I'm not a legal person. I don't have a legal knowledge. The knowledge I have is social science knowledge. The knowledge that has to do with the minds and aspirations of ordinary Sierra Leoneans. That is what we are looking at. Okay? I have told you, I've categorized what is in that statutory instrument in 3 aspects.
But
okay?
I mean,
there's nothing to your question.
I mean, people are saying, yes, we want the Commission of Inquiry, but it should be done procedurally, it should be done rightly, it should be done legally.
There is no procedure. Since the inception of the Commission of Inquiry, the setting up of the 12-man committee, the publishing of the report, to the laying of the statutory instrument, there is no one single procedure that have not been followed. If procedure...
It is only Parliament that will give the Commission of Inquiry the legal mandate
to
carry out his activity.
Yes, I'm coming.
That's why the President, the Attorney General, or his deputy went to Parliament. Because you need that
parliamentary approval.
Very good.
That was why he took it to Parliament.
It shows how crucial that aspect
Thank you. Now in Parliament, please, I'm coming. In Parliament, the statutory instrument was not hidden. Okay? The day they sat on several other bills, it was among the bills that was with the clerk via the Speaker of the House. It was there. It was not meant in secret. It was open. What the Speaker said, and I quote, "You shouldn't have used Section 18 of the Standing Orders to move a motion for it to be debated. You should have moved Section 25 for it to be debated."
Are you saying the member of Parliament is not afraid with his standing orders?
Well, that is for them. That's why I said their Bible is the standing orders. Their principle, their own Godfather is the Speaker. If you stand on the own, it will only be the blessing of the Speaker to overturn it or to overrule it. That is clear. If you are talking about procedure, he has some amount of legal background. I know him very well. He should know the proceedings of Parliament. That please, you should understand that. If the Speaker, I'm not speaking out of opinion. You know the powers of the Speaker. You yourself sitting here. If you have
the Speaker is also guided by law.
Yes, of course, it's guided by law, and the law gave the Speaker the prerogative. If you stand under the wrong standing orders, it is the prerogative of the Speaker.
That same order has been given different. The Speaker has his own interpretation. The members of the opposition members also have their own interpretation.
Yeah, but according to the standing order, the Speaker's interpretation.
So are you throwing the Speaker's line?
No, yes. Of course, the Speaker's position oversees every other position.
Thank you. Let's go for text message. One says,
of course.
Mambo, are you the spokesperson for SLPP? So I say, ask me to tell Thomas more that he is not representing APC because you are speaking as the PRO for the APC. I appreciate the President in setting up the Commission of Inquiry. People should be accountable and explain, should account for unexplained wealth, so the detriment of the poor people. It's a shame that the Member of Parliament cannot understand his standing. Others one says Mr. Mambu is a real joker, he is not afraid with the issue, and more Conteh is more grounded as well. One says the Mambu guy is not doing justice to the people of this country. The legal instrument must be debated. It is not a secret document. You are advocating for the wrongdoing. For a fair process, such an important document should be debated. This one says, more Conteh, are you saying Parliament should flout procedures to please the APC?
Yes.
This one says, kudos to Edmond for his analysis. God bless you, sir. Let me come to you, Mr. Uwe. What impact do you think a training like this will create for these entrepreneurs?
Definitely, yeah. So this program now is in its third year, and we'll be starting the fourth program later this year. So from our past experience, what we're seeing the impact is basically in improving, creating more resilient businesses, creating businesses with improved practices, getting them better access to finance, and also improving the entrepreneurial landscape in Sierra Leone.
So have you gone back to those that you had trained in the past?
Yes, definitely. So as I said, where we work is once we train them, then we have an investment arm that then does the financing for the ones that are selected. But nonetheless, as I said, what we do is we still keep in contact with the ones we've worked with in the past and see how we can work. If they don't get funding from Conteh, we can refer them to other financial institutions.
How much do you normally give a business?
It depends. So the business plans the business would present to us would have a ticket size. It could range anywhere. It could be from 10,000 or above. But basically, what we look at is scalability, as I said, right? Because the goal for the intervention is for business owners that have been in business for a while. They've reached a level where they've put in some sweat in the business, and through this intervention they can get some ability to be able to get funding from outside investors, right? Maybe the banks or us as a whole. So what we do is we look for those type of businesses, the growth businesses we can say. And so depending on what they want to do, it can be, as little as 10 or it can be higher than 100.
Packaging has always been a problem for Sierra Leone entrepreneurs. When you go to other countries, you see the same thing maybe that is produced in Sierra Leone, but theirs is well packaged, ours is not well packaged. Do you also train them on that?
Right, so
on branding and packaging, for instance.
Yeah, we do have a module that deals on the branding, but we don't go specifically per se into the packaging or the technical aspects of it, because our training is on the general BDS. Where that would come in is the technical assistance, right? So let's say if they've progressed now to the investment phase, they'll get additional technical assistance where we'll get consultants that would come in to work with them on those specific areas, right? So what we do also, we don't only work in a silo coded, we actually work with other service providers in country. So the ones that offer the training, so the consultants that offer the financial consultancy, the marketing, the business plan development.
Okay.
These are all local entrepreneurs that are actually offering these services. So we put out a call, they apply, and then they'll be the ones that deliver.
Is Mohammed Wouri, the private sector development manager of Conteh. Edmond, this is just a palliative care solution, sort of?
Well, I don't think, you see, like I said, the center...
Is it not a palliative care solution?
Well, these are short term.
That makes it palliative.
Yes, okay, you may be right. Just that I think Sahelians, we need to be patriotic. Sahelian is for Sahelians. Yeah? Some school of thought are blaming the dollar boys. But I've always said, the dollar boys have been there since the days of John the Baptist. I've been on record to have seriously lampooned the former government, President Nkrumah, of fiscal irresponsibility. But I admired him on the last part of his term. I was here. To hold the dollar at 7.5 for a long time. Yeah? We saw what's happened with the timber. These are, you say
so what's the magic that President Nkrumah used to have
looking at the timber? Yeah, I'm just here looking at the timber. This from the informal sector. The Chinese guys comes, they pump the dollar in the. Of course, this, like I said, it's a demand and supply. So if you have too many dollars in the economy, you find out that you appreciate. And then when we have the ECF, the first round of the ECF loan, the IMF loan, when it comes, mark you, the IMF money comes in hard currency, and that is why, in fact, that is one of the banker. That is where the finance ministry happens to bank now. That by September, when they come with this. They've come the second tranche of the ECF loan. The ECF money will come from the IMF. That will also stabilize the economy, and of course, but more importantly, I think we need to look at short-term solutions. Like I said, these big CVs. When I was in Canada, I was doing some economic stuff, and my uncle said, "But no, this is not a big book. Not saying once a big. Well, this still don't fail we." I think we need to, the issue of diversifying our economy from the medium to long term.
Edmond, our economy needs to move from import to export.
No, of course, I agree. We are a net importer.
All these explanations, if we are being dominated, if our economy is import dominated, we always have this problem.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Apparently, as it is now, we only have Fremetco, Rutai, and Octia. Yeah, so we need to boost most of our. But again, even the taxes, there are tax code, the introduction of this currency. CET, this common external commodity tariff, is a bit biting at the customs. So you find out that we observe that too many hedging is going on. Some business people are coming with their goods from Guinea. Yeah. So I think that is why we want consultation. The central bank needs to open up. Okay. Yeah. So people can come in, let people explain. Possibly you have the solution. Ask me. The dollar boys. I'm
not a businessman or an economist. Well, here's Edmond Festus, as you are running up shortly. When exactly is the school sport going to start?
We don't determine that. That is why the line ministry.
So is everything set now for the schools to start?
The education ministry will explain to us when the school sports will be resuming. Actually, what the ministry or the minister has done is to lift the ban in the first place, which I think is a welcome news for parents and students as well. Again, the stadium is now under rapid refurbishment, of which we think at the end of the renovation, it's going to be. When
is the renovation going to end?
No, well, it is ongoing now.
So how is that the renovation in Onuga and the minister said they are going to use the stadium for free? Is it not putting the cart before the horse?
No, it is not a cart before the horse. Don't forget.
But so
just open the athletics sport meet start.
But actually, the stadium should be open already.
Well, it may be completed before the reopening of.
Well, let's go for final text message. One says, "More, there is no way we can go back to the old days. We know you are helping corruption to fight back." So the Mambu, you are always on different to defend the new direction. The commission is in place, but it must be done fairly. The Moses Mambu has inadequacies on standing orders. There is provision for a 7 days notice for constitutional instrument to be debated. Citizens are also, we try to object on the constitutional instrument when it is gazetted. SFPP is not honest in the fight against corruption. Their focus is to eliminate the APC Northerners. What about 1997-2007? Someone says, Edmond is who? My worry is the sustainability of such move by the central bank. Edmond, is this the only way government could address the depreciating loans to the dollar? Thomas, in just 5 seconds, I'll stick on that. Come tomorrow, it's going to become law. And once it becomes law, then the Commission of Inquiry has had its legal life.
Yeah, well, that is what we are against, and we want to appeal that the leadership of Parliament look into the issue of the members of Parliament who have asked that the issue be tabled for debate, because it is only when we debate it and we'll be able to have a very healthy and outcome.
Okay.
Because people will not accept whatever will come from the Commission of Inquiry if it is marred with inadequacies and, of course, political point at the end of the day.
Moses Mo, you had, Moses Mambo, you had Thomas Mo said people will not accept the outcome if the legal basis.
Well, it only depends if his legal knowledge stopped at making the Commission of Inquiry findings absolute. But he knows that even the Commission of Inquiry is not absolute. It does not end there. Okay, so
well,
we are calling no, it will, but it does not end there. You know that.
I know.
So it does not end there. So there's no way of rejecting that. What we are calling for is for the Commission of Inquiry to start. Let it be transparent, be open up. Let everybody, including Thomas More, all of us, have access to
thank you very much,
the sittings.
Mr. Wu, your next batch of trainees, 2 seconds.
Yes, thank you. So we're calling for applications now, so you can visit our website, www.conteh.org/en/Conteh-Enterprise Academy to fill the application form to be able to. And then they always have an FAQ there where you can see what requirements are for you to be eligible for the program.
Edmond, what more solution do you think the central bank can come
So
up
many
with?
solutions. I believe by next week we'll be having a meeting with the central bank, and then we'll come up with our position. But I think I want to commend everybody. I want to commend the black marketers. Please do, I want to be patriotic.
Commending them for being black marketers?
No, I'm saying for those who adhere. We want.
Thank you very much, Edmond. Time has cut us. With that, sir, we descend the podium for today on behalf of all my guests. I've been yours, Asmi Bartinu. Join you again tomorrow. God bless you. Goodbye.